What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some battles in the Jungle Cup with a full buff team of Breloom, Shadow Ampharos, and Alolan Raichu. Now Breloom is obviously very weak to flying types, so got two electric types in the back, but they've got grass type coverage, so they're not completely walled by ground types, and obviously with Trailblaze they can ramp up their attack stat, which combined with the buffed Volt Switch damage is a deadly combination. Now Breloom sees a much needed pacing improvement with Seed Bomb, now only costing 4 False Palms rather than 5, and Alolan Raichu also now has access to Psy Shock, which takes 3 Volt Switches to get to the first time, but then only 2 more to get to the second. Anyways, with that being said, let's just get straight into the question of the day. Aside from Drain Punch being added to a bunch of different Pokemon, which move update do you think has been the most forgettable this season? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so go into the first battle, leading Breloom into Talonflame. So of course, an awful matchup for me. I'm going to go for 1 Force Palm, swap out into Ampharos, and unfortunately completely walled here by a Guzzlord. But the opponent doesn't know my charge moves. Ampharos has access to moves like Dragon Pulse and Focus Blast, so I farm up to a potential Focus Blast. I'm going for Brutal Swing. Brutal Swing grabs a shield from the opponent, as the opponent is going to want to maintain alignment here. Trailblaze, gonna be no shield. It doesn't do too much damage there. Well, that's okay with me. I'm going to come back in with the Breloom, but unfortunately the opponent is going to farm up to a potential Sludge Bomb. Sludge Bomb going to hit for big damage, so I do end up shielding. Now, I assume they're going to come back in with the Talonflame, so once again, going to fire off 1 Force Palm, bank a Dynamic Punch, and their final Pokemon is going to be a Water Gun Lantern. Water Gun Lantern seems to have regained popularity this season, especially in recent weeks because it's been showcased by a few content creators like It's Accent and Homesize Henry, but we're in a really good position here. I actually don't need to overfarm whatsoever. Trailblaze already boosted, now I'm double boosted. We get off just 1 Volt Switch into the Talonflame, but that's all we need. That's going to put them into range where Breloom can come in. Of course, we've only got resisted moves, but I go for 3 Force Palms. I fire off the Dynamic Punch, and Dynamic Punch gets the KO there, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there, into the next battle, we're going to see Breloom into Raichu. So this is a great matchup for me. We are going to see the opponent's going to stay in initially. Of course, they gained access to Aura Sphere this season, so I'm going to shield this up. They actually go for Wild Charge, meaning potentially they don't have Aura Sphere, instead maybe running Shadow Ball for coverage. Either way, they swap into Cradilly, maybe expecting a bait with the Seed Bomb there. It massively backfires. They've got Shadow Talonflame in the back, and this is game over. They do just barely outpace me. Doesn't really matter. I don't need to shield my Ampharos. We can just come in straight away with the Alolan Raichu, 2 Volt Switches, get the farm down there, and there's just nothing Raichu can do here. Of course, they could go for a Shadow Ball if they're running it, but the opponent realizing they can't take out the Breloom, so they just let the move go through, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's top home there, into the next battle, you can see a Togekiss in the lead. Honestly, worst thing Breloom could see. We've only got resisted or double resisted moves to throw, and of course, those picks are going to deal insane damage to the Breloom. We swap into Ampharos, and once again, not met with the best Pokemon. The opponent also going to bait with a Fire Punch. I'm not going to bait here. I need to either grab the shield or just guarantee that I take out the Diggersby. Now, the opponent here, they could potentially double bait me, but I'm going to no shield. The opponent is unfortunately going to full send the Scorching Sands this time around. We can come in with the Breloom. I'm going to have to tank a Fire Punch, which even non-stab is going to do huge damage to my Breloom. I'm going to have to swap out straight away here, and their final Pokemon is going to be a Shadow Scizor. Now, this is actually the matchup and the reason why I eventually swapped over to Psyshock, because if I ran Psyshock here, it takes 1 less Volt Switch to reach the second charge move, and I would have actually been able to take out the Shadow Scizor, but because I only have 45 energy charge moves, they outpace me to the Night Slash. We can come in, we can get the Force Palm farm down, and we've only got resistant moves to throw, and this time, unfortunately, Dynamic Punch is not going to do much damage there. Potentially, if I had Sludge Bomb, I could have done more damage, but I feel like they still would have just barely lived that anyways. But either way, GG's to that trainer, into the next battle, and I believe we are now running Psyshock. I'm going to say swap into Ampharos, and unfortunately met with a Dunsparce. Now, they do throw straight away. Durant does huge damage. We actually barely hang on there. I was hoping that would KO, because then I could get a huge farm down, and then here I was thinking, you know what, maybe I should undercharge this, but I thought about it too late, so we do go for an undercharge. It doesn't really make a difference, as I believe we still get the same number of Force Palms to farm them down anyways. So here, of course, we don't even leave with a charge we've loaded, but they've got Pangoro in the back, and this is where the boost to the damage or Volt Switch is going to come in clutch for us. They go for the Night Slash straight away. They barely outpace us to that first charge move. We go for Trailblaze. Trailblaze gonna boost up our attack stat, and that's going to mean I can just double shield my Raichu I don't have to throw any more charge moves, and now I can commit to a full Volt Switch farm down, and I'm going straight for Side Shock. Of course, Side Shock, we're boosted. This is going to grab the final shield from the opponent, and the opponent, if they underestimate the energy generation, we're already at Side Shock number 2. Side Shock is boosted. It takes out the Shadow Charizard, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's top on there, into the next battle, we see Piloswine in the lead. So, of course, they are going to hit for super effective damage here with the Powder Snows, but I can hit for more damage with the Force Palms, gonna shield, and then just commit to a full Force Palm farm down. The opponent is going to come in with a Talonflame, so I swap out straight away into my Shadow Ampharos, and I'm met with Barrel, which is not a great response. I'm going straight for Trailblaze. Trailblaze, gonna be shielded, and at this point I recognize 2 more Volt Switches probably gets the farm down. They also full send a Hyper Fang. Fine with me, we get the full farm down, and there's just nothing they can do. We go for 1 Volt Switch, we fire off the Brutal Swing. There's still 1 more Incinerate away from their first charge move, meaning Shadow Ampharos outpaces them to the next charge move, and Brutal Swing, boosted, gets the KO there, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there, into the next battle, we're going to see Breloom in the lead up against a Shadow Scizor. Now, honestly, I didn't really know what to do up against Shadow Scizor leads because Breloom does resist the charge moves, but I do have an ABB style team, and my backline, of course, resists the fast move damage from the Scizor there. As also, we do need to bait out Pokemon like Gastrodon, so that probably was the right play, but I feel like I'm not in a great position here. Of course, I'm going to have to let 1 move go through. They're going to go for back-to-back Body Slams. First one does decent damage there. Breloom is a very classy Pokemon. I'm going to shield up the next Body Slam, and I won't be able to commit to a farm down at all. So we're going to go for the Seed Bomb, unfortunately having to throw here when they are on such low HP. But Seed Bomb gets the KO. I'm going to swap out straight away into my Raichu, and they're going to have a Bullet Seed Credilli in the back. Now we're going to go straight for Side Shock. Side Shock is going to connect there. And Alolan Raichu should actually be able to tank a Rock Tomb here, but it's not going to be very comfortable for us. I actually put myself into range where they can just go for a full Bullet Seed farm down if they do want to shield. So what I'm going to do, farm up to back-to-back Side Shocks here. You can see my Switch Clock just barely not going to come up in time for me to swap out and bank the energy. So I throw the move there. We come back in with the Breloom, only reaching a Seed Bomb. Seed Bomb likely going to grab the final shield anyways. And unfortunately, Side Shock, well, we're going to lose CMP anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But Side Shock is resisted. It would not get the KO there, and so unfortunately I do lose that game. But GG's up on there, into the next battle, we're going to see a Greninja in the lead, so a really good matchup for us, and the opponent is choosing to stay in here. So what I'm going to do, even though I realize they can only throw resisted charge moves, and it's very unlikely that they're going to be running Aerial Ace, I might as well just shield there, and the opponent comes in with Drapion, and the reason they stayed in is because they've also got a Credilli in the back. But not only that, I believe this Credilli is going to be on Bullet Seed as the fast move, which is really positive for the Breloom. Now they fire off the Rock Tomb. Again, Rock Tomb puts me into an awkward range where they can probably farm me down, but I'm going to fire off the Trailblaze once again. Trailblaze gonna be no-shielded, and the opponent committing to a farm down, but it's actually Shadow Ampharos that gets the farm down. Now, of course, Brutal Swing, Trailblaze, they are both resisted. The opponent likely gonna no-shield, and they do exactly that, but I can also no-shield. The opponent is actually running Fell Stinger there, which is very interesting. Have not seen a Fell Stinger Drapion for quite a while. I'm going to fire off the Seed Bomb. Seed Bomb is going to be shielded, and now I swap, I catch hopefully either a Fell Stinger or an Arcutel, basically just hoping it was not a crunch, and it wasn't. So of course, at this point, the opponent over farming, I realize Volt Switch will just get the farm down, so I might as well just shield. They go for crunch, but Volt Switch gets the KO there, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there, into the next battle, another Shadow Scizor in the lead. So once again, I'm going to swap out straight away. The opponent actually swapping out as well into a Shadow Drapion. So here, I'm going to shield the first charge move as they fire off a crunch. I realize, once again, my charge moves are resisted, but Trailblaze does so much damage, the opponent actually not going to be able to reach another crunch. They have to settle for the Arcutel, and of course, Arcutel non-stab does not get the KO there. They come back in with the Shadow Scizor, and I'm going straight for a Brutal Swing. Brutal Swing is going to grab a shield, and I realize they swapped out straight away, so likely they have an even better response to my Breloom in the back, so might as well come in with the Breloom this time around, and the opponent's going to bank some energy before swapping into Altaria. Now, unfortunately, this is where Psyshock feels a little bit underwhelming for me. The opponent is going to reach a flamethrower. I'm going to go for Psyshock. I'm actually not going to reach back-to-back charge moves here, so definitely should have just shielded the first charge move. Coming from the Altaria, that is a definite mistake. But even if I did shield there, Psyshock would not get the KO, whereas Wild Charge probably does maybe just about get the KO there. But either way, they're loaded on the Shadow Scizor. Night Slash, resisted damage, doesn't matter. It still easily takes out the Breloom, and unfortunately, I do lose that game. But GG's opponent there, into the next battle. Awful lead matchup for me, and honestly, just a huge core breaker to the team. But the opponent might not be familiar with Psyshock on the Alolan Raichu, so it does big damage there. That is huge for me. I'm now going to shield, and let's see what they want to do. They're going to go for a Stone Edge bait here, but that's fine with me. I can now overfarm, still going to outpace them to the next Psyshock, and Psyshock should be forcing shields. Also, they're staying in with the Clodsire, so clearly they don't have the best response to Alolan Raichu in the back. So here, I'm going to overfarm, and the opponent actually able to catch a Psyshock onto a Bullet Seed Mantine, which is crazy to see. But I'm going to bank a Psyshock, swap into Ampharos, and unfortunately, only one more Volt Switch gets the farm down, meaning they can come back in with Clodsire, and they will actually outpace me to the Earthquake, getting the KO there. But they must have like double flyers in the back, so I'm going to come in with my Breloom. They're going to reach a charge move, but we've already seen both Stone Edge and Earthquake, both are resisted there. I'm going to blind throw a Dynamic Punch, and they come in with Emolga. So Dynamic Punch coming through, it's going to do decent damage there. I'm actually going to go for a Trailblaze because they should outpace me to the next charge move. Trailblaze gonna boost up my attack stat. These Volt Switches dealing huge damage, but they overfarm. They throw on CMP. Alolan Raichu wins CMP here. Psyshock gets the KO, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there, into the next battle. We see Breloom into Golisopod. So, of course, got two electric types in the back. I'm going to say swap into Shadow Ampharos, and the opponent is going to choose to stay in here, fire off a charge move, but they clearly don't have a great response. And we're going to see that as they come in with a Talonflame. So, are they triple weak to the electric typing here? We fire off the Brutal Swing. They actually no-shield this. So, now I'm going to go for a Trailblaze, and you might be wondering, why are you doing this? Well, if they shield this, Volt Switch now boosted. It gets the KO there. And let's see, the opponent's going to come back in with Golisopod just to be farmed down, and the opponent clearly never heard of the electric typing as they are triple weak to it. They've got a Shadow Charizard in the back. We grab the final shield, we can fire off the Psyshock, and that is absolutely game over. Psyshock easily takes out Shadow Charizard, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's top on there, into the next battle, you see Breloom into Credilli. So this is a positive matchup for me. However, if they're on Acid, which they are, it is actually quite a bit more awkward than you might expect. We are going to see the opponent's going to swap. They get off a single charm into my Breloom, but that is going to cost a lot of our HP. They fire off the Swift. I'm now going to look to overfarm, farming up here, throwing after 2 Volt Switches, throwing on good timing. Trailblaze, gonna get the KO there, and let's see what they want to do. The opponent comes back in with Credilli, so I'm going to go straight for a Brutal Swing. Brutal Swing is going to connect, but they swap into a Shadow Kanto Marowak. And unfortunately, just that one charm damage with, of course, the acids from Credilli means this is no longer a great matchup for the Breloom. We throw on CMP, but if the opponent wants a double shield, there's just nothing we can do here, unfortunately. They fire off the Bone Club, but you see Mud Slaps, even resisted damage, are doing huge damage to the Breloom. Seed Bomb grabs the final shield. I'm forced to swap out there, but of course, a Bone Club from Shadow Kanto Marowak puts us incredibly low. One more Mud Slap gets the farm down. One more Mud Slap takes out the Breloom, and unfortunately, I do lose that game. But GG's up in there, into the next battle, we're going to see another Talonflame in the lead. So once again, going to go for one Force Palm, swap out into my Shadow Ampharos, and the opponent responds with a Credilli. And once again, they are on Acid, so not ideal for the Breloom, but it's okay. We can fire off the Trailblaze here. And am I going to bother shielding? Actually, I throw on CMP here. The opponent allowing the charge move to get off, and of course, Brutal Swing does big damage. Now, Breloom not going to get much of a farm here, so I might as well come in with my Raichu. Acids, they are non-stab, so they don't do too much damage to the Raichu. We do get 2 Volt Switches through as we farm them down, and they're going to come in with a Shadow Scizor. So this is where Psyshock, obviously being better pacing-wise this time around, rather than the Wild Charge, is going to help me, and also they throw on poor timing. They fire off the Trailblaze there, boosting up their attack stat, but that's fine with me. I'm going to go straight for a Psyshock. Psyshock is going to be no-shielded by the opponent. I'm now going to bank a Psyshock, swap into Breloom, and all I need to do here is reach a charge move. The opponent going to fire off the charge move. They go straight for a fly, and here I wasn't actually sure how much energy they had because they did actually stay in with the Talonflame up against my Ampharos for a while. Here the opponent makes a big mistake though. They allow me to get off too much damage to the point where they're in range where a single Volt Switch gets the farm down. They still had a shield, but it doesn't really matter at that point. Raichu gets the farm down, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there into the next battle to see a Charger Bug in the lead. So, this is a matchup where, of course, we're both hitting for resisted fast move damage. I've only got resisted charge moves to throw as well, but I am going to stay in with the Breloom. Dynamic Punch is going to do big damage here. So, even if they do no-shield this, it is going to get them fairly low. I'm now going to swap out and catch a charge move onto Ampharos. As well, we do get a Volt Switch in as we swap out there. We're able to bait out a Gastrodon, but we reach a last-second Trailblaze. Trailblaze, gotta be no-shielded. It gets the one-shot. They come back in with the Charger Bug. So now I'm going to come in with my Alolan Raichu. Of course, waiting out the switch clock here. We come in with the Raichu. We get the farm down, and they're going to have Altaria in the back now. This is, unfortunately, once again, where Alolan Raichu just feels a little bit underwhelming. Raichu, very good into most flying types, but Altaria is only going to take neutral damage from the Volt Switches. And Psyshock, whilst it is a very good 40 energy charge move, it just doesn't feel like it hits that hard into Altaria. Potentially, I should have gone for a Trailblaze at some point, boosting up my attack stat, because you will see I'm able to successfully catch a Sky Attack. I can fire off the Psyshock at the last second here, but Psyshock, unfortunately, does not do enough damage. They get the Dragon Breath farm down, and unfortunately, I do lose that game. So yeah, potentially, if I did go for a Trailblaze earlier in that battle, boost up my attack stat, maybe I could have put them into range where Psyshock gets the KO. But anyways, GG's to that trainer. Into the next battle, the opponent's going to Say Swap into a Pelipper. We can come in with the Ampharos, no Shield or Weather Ball, get the full Volt Switch farm down, and let's see what they want to do. They're going to come back in with the Credilli here, and again, they are on Acid. So here, I'm going to fire off the Trailblaze. Arguably, should have thrown straight away, but we can reach a second Trailblaze here. We are already boosted. Trailblaze number 2 is going to be no shielded. They shielded the first one, potentially from the threat of a Focus Blast. But either way, I'm going to come in with the Breloom. I'm going to shield the Rock Tomb here, as we don't know what they've got in the back. And I'm very much glad that I shielded, as they've got a Shadow Torterra. They're going to shield the first charge move. Of course, I am debuffed, so even though I do reach a Seed Bomb at the last second, it's now debuffed. Seed Bomb doesn't get the KO there. And I'm kind of forced to shield this. Even though I'm so low, I need the Force Palm damage. Volt Switch is triple resisted. We would not be able to farm them down. But now Alolan Raichu should be able to tank a Grass Knot from this range. The opponent actually goes for Rock Tomb there for some reason. Don't really understand that, as of course, Rock Tomb debuff my attack doesn't make a difference. They should have gone for the harder hitting move. But either way, Raichu should have lived the Grass Knot anyways. And so I'm able to take that game. Now going into the next battle, we can see another Shadow Charizard in the lead. So we Say Swap into Ampharos, and again, we're going to be met with a Dunsparce. But this time, they stay in for quite a bit longer with the Charizard. They actually bank an Air Cutter, which means this could be quite scary for my Breloom in the end game, as they could come in and snipe at any point. But we do have the opportunity to flip Switch Advantage into the Dunsparce. So now I'm going to fire off a Brutal Swing. Brutal Swing is going to be shielded by the opponent, but now we can just double shield and commit to a very aggressive Volt Switch farm down. They fire off another drill on there, we get the farm down, and we've got back-to-back Brutal Swings already, but they come in with a Unova Stunfisk. So here, I'm going to go for the Trailblaze. Trailblaze is going to be no-shielded. I'm now going to swap Catch onto Breloom, and what I'm hoping to do is force the Charizard back into the matchup here. So they do come in with a Charizard, they do over-farm, but they don't farm to back-to-back Air Cutters. So we can come in with the Ampharos. I should be winning CMP in this matchup. Oh, sorry, not winning CMP, but outpacing them to the first charge move here, and they will need to throw pretty much as soon as possible. Otherwise, we get off the Volt Switch damage, so they do overfarm just slightly, but we can come in with the Raichu. They're not reaching the Blast Burn, and we're just one away from a Trailblaze into Unova Stunfisk. It's super effective damage. Trailblaze gets the KO there, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on their into next battle. We see Breloom into a Credilli. So, once again, a good matchup for us. They're going to swap out straight away into Clodsire. And I'm a little bit slow to swap out there, but we do come in with the Raichu. And they're actually not going to farm up to a potential Earthquake. So, I know Shield the Stone Edge. I'm now going to farm up to back-to-back Psyshocks. And we've already seen Psyshock does respectable damage in this matchup. However, it's never going to put them into range where I can fast move farm them down with the rest of my team, so it is quite awkward for me. They're going to fire off the next Charge Reef, and I'm actually going to no-shield this. We've got the shield advantage. That's basically the best we can get out of this matchup, because if I shield there, I can get another Psyshock, but they can then just go for a full farm down. And once again, we have seen the Stone Edge, so I'm going to go for a Seed Bomb here. Seed Bomb, going to get the KO, but they're going to have a Togekiss in the back, and I make a pretty big mistake in the end game. I didn't realize, but they got 3 pecks there before they did swap out. I thought it was only 2. I don't know why I thought it was only 2 there, but we are going to shield up the Shadow Ampharos as the opponent fires off the Rock Tomb. We're going to go for another Trailblaze here. They've just debuffed my attack, but I already boosted it. So we go for Trailblaze once again. Trailblaze is going to boost up that attack stat once again, and now, of course, I'm going to shield. The opponent goes for Rock Tomb, and here I should be swapping out straight away, as of course, now they're at 5. We win CMP, but we've only got Trailblaze, and that's going to be game over, because of course, Aura Sphere will be taking out the Ampharos. We come back in, 2 more pecks, takes out the Breloom very comfortably, and unfortunately, I do lose that game. But GG's up on there into the final battle of this video. Once again, Breloom losing the lead matchup there. They swap into a Shadow Steelix. But this is actually okay for the Ampharos as they are on Thunderfang. Thunderfang is going to be resisted. Of course, my Volt Switches are double resisted, but it doesn't really matter. I'm going to no-shield this. Certainly not enough energy for an Earthquake. They just go for a Psychic Fangs. I'm now going to look to overfarm here. Fire off Trailblaze number 2. And Trailblaze actually gets the KO. So we flip switch advantage and we reach a last second Brutal Swing. And this is now double boosted. Brutal Swing does big damage there. And now we can come in with the Alolan Raichu. The opponent is going to throw just before I reach a Charge Reef of my own, but that's okay with me. They full send the Flamethrower. This time we do correctly shield it. I'm going to go for a Psyshock. Psyshock is going to be shielded by the opponent, but I can reach a second Psyshock already. Psyshock number 2, are they going to double shield here? Psyshock, going to be no shielded. Their final Pokemon is a Talonflame. So once again, we're going to bank a Psyshock swap into Breloom, and of course the opponent is going to have to throw here, but we've now got the energy for a Dynamic Punch. They can fire off the Fly. They're going to throw on CMP, but they lose CMP to the Breloom. Dynamic Punch grabs the final shield, and we have that Psyshock loaded. So, of course, Fly will be taking out the Breloom, but we've got the Charge Reef loaded. We're going to throw straight away here. Psyshock will be taking out the Talonflame, and I'm able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. Now, if you want to take your support to the next level, you can become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments of every video. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has become a channel member already. Your support is greatly appreciated. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.